Hey, Miss Brown's class. We're going to go through Module 9 pretty quickly. It's just a few vocab terms. So first of all, we're going to talk about rational numbers. Basically, rational numbers can be written as fractions or decimals, okay? If they are a decimal, either it is a terminating decimal, meaning that it ends, okay, not going on forever, or it's a repeating decimal. Clearly it has a pattern and you can change that nice repeating decimal into a fraction. All right, other things that you need to know about rational numbers. We can also be talking about square roots of numbers. Square root is when two of the same number multiplied by each other equal another number. So the square root of 4, what two numbers multiplied by each other equal 4? That's 2 times 2. Okay, in this case, the square root of 36, that's 6 times 6. Okay, these other words not going to help you so much for this purpose. Now, irrational number. This is basically, in a polite way, saying obnoxious numbers. Okay, so these numbers are, if you were to put them in your calculator, so if you were to hit radical 3 or radical 2, that means the square root button of these numbers, you would get a number that is a decimal and it does not repeat, it does not have a pattern. This means it is not a repeating decimal and it is not a terminating decimal. This makes it irrational, okay? Irrational, think about that as being illogical, and it's just not a friendly number, so that's how we like to classify our numbers in this case, okay? You're going to be seeing this chart today, okay? We like to group our numbers a couple different ways, okay? So we have real numbers that can be broken down into rational numbers and irrational numbers, okay? Rational numbers, remember, we group them as fractions, decimals. They could be repeating decimals, okay? Irrational numbers are going to involve decimals that go on forever without a nice repeating pattern. We know pi doesn't repeat, okay? If you were to enter any of these in your calculator, you would see that there is no rhyme or reason to those. They are rather obnoxious, okay? We don't really like irrational numbers. They're not our favorite. Now, as far as rational numbers, they have some other categories that we can break it down to, okay? Integers are numbers that we've talked about all year long, okay? Integers are those numbers that look like whole numbers, but the difference between whole numbers and integers are, you'll see integers also include negative numbers, okay? Whole numbers means that it has to be positive. Now, part of me is wondering, how on earth did I get a radical or a square root inside of the whole numbers? Now let's think about this. What's the square root of 4? So what times what equals 4? Well, in this case, it's 2. That's why that happens to be a whole number. Whereas here, if you had done the square root of 2, you would get 1.4 something. It's not a repeating number. It's obnoxious. That's why it's irrational, okay? But if it's something that we can write as a fraction or a nice friendly decimal, then it's a rational number.